Hello everyone and welcome back to Techniques of the Week. I hope you all had a restful and relaxing weekend and are ready to get back into it. So today's topic is going to be about mindfulness and thought flow. And again, this is the more advanced Monday that I'm recording mostly for students at Vista, but hopefully kids of any age can tune in and learn something. Quick outline, we'll go over some updates, check-ins, the lesson for the day, which will be mindfulness and thought flow, and then a quiz and how to get in touch with me. So updates from last week, what we've learned. So we did 5 videos last week. I thought I was only going to do 3, but I kind of missed you guys and wanted to do check-ins every day. This is going to lessons learned. Also, I need to try to keep my videos shorter. I can tell based on views and how much of the videos have been viewed that the shorter the video, the more likely people are to actually watch it. So I'm going to try to keep my soapboxes to a minimum. And then the other thought I had was to have a more updated structure. So Mondays are going to be, again, my more advanced Mondays. And Tuesdays are Tuesdays you can use days, and I realized that that's my best play on words, and I should have saved it till the end, but here we are. And then Wednesdays, I'm going to continue with We Need Help 2 Wednesdays. So those lessons are going to be mostly for parents that might be struggling with how to get kids to do homework or just general struggles with staying at home and being pretty cooped up. And then Life Hack Thursdays is going to be implementing some different life lessons I've picked up in my short time on this planet, and hopefully, that can be applicable to your lives as well. And then Resource Fridays are just, sort of pointing out different resources that are available either in the community or online if you guys need further help. Check-ins from me. My struggle again this week has been balancing my rational brain that tells me, no, you need to stay home and stay safe, with my emotional brain that is telling me to go play and go do things. I read an article in the paper that said the golf courses were open, and I really wanted to go play golf, but that would involve, being a little bit more close to people than I think I need to be right now. Bright spot was Hadley yesterday looking for Easter eggs. This was a ton of fun. She's cute. She had a little Easter outfit on, and we put some M&Ms and little eggs, and she loved it. I like this picture too because it shows that our dog Kingsley chooses to sleep on our bed instead of the expensive dog bed that we thought he would like. From you guys, we are seeing some struggles in the ability to email, text, or call me. I am awfully lonely without you guys, so please hit me up. But the bright spot, I am assuming that means that psychological assistant isn't your highest priority right now. So quick talking about mindfulness, it is being present in the moment. Mindfulness is being non-judgmental and accepting, being calm with a relaxed body and relaxed breathing, and being aware of your surroundings and your feelings. Again, not being judgmental, but just being aware of what those are. And then also being intentional with your actions. That's all about mindfulness. So really, this can be encapsulated by saying that mindfulness is just being present, being non-judgmental, being calm, being aware, being intentional. That's all mindfulness is. I think it can really be encapsulated with a couple images here. So this is just a timeline, past, present, and future, and there's only one place that you can be. You can only be present with your body and your mind. That's really what mindfulness is all about. When we sit in the past and we dwell in the past and all we do is ruminate on what's happened in our lives, that doesn't get us anywhere. That sort of turns us into a hamster wheel of thinking about what was. Similarly, if all we're doing is worrying about the future, that can be a breeding ground for anxiety. So if we're just worried about what's going to come next or what's happening in the world, we can get into a similar hamster wheel where we're just spinning on that and not actually getting anywhere. So mindfulness is just really all about being present in the current moment. I should say the past and the future, thinking about the past and the future do have meaning, right? If we never thought about the past, we would never learn anything and we'd continue to be burning our hands on hot stoves. And also, if we don't plan for the future, we can be unprepared And so there's value in thinking about the past and also, considering the future. It's just when we start to dwell on either of those ends of the spectrum. I think that's it for that slide. And I love this picture. This is just a guy and his dog at the park and explaining why the dog is happier, because the dog is just focused on being at the park with his owner, with his person, and meanwhile the guy is thinking about all of the things that he needs to do, all of the worries that he has, and just practicing mindfulness like the dog, taking it all in and being present. Next, we're going to talk about thought flow. Our brains never turn off, and this is really good, because if our brains turned off, that would mean we weren't alive anymore. The downside to our brains never turning off is that we can get stuck in our thoughts really easily. This goes back to that hamster wheel, where we're just paralyzed by these same thoughts that repeat over and over and over again. And I've got two types of thought here. This is a little bit oversimplified. There's a lot of different types of thoughts, but I'm grouping them together in two types just for the purposes of today's presentation. The first type being intentional, and this is putting your mind to a specific task, idea, or project. So for example, I am being very intentional in how I am trying to describe these complex thought patterns for you guys right now. An automatic thought, on the other hand, is your brain's natural response, something that just happens automatically. So something comes in, a random tangent, and your brain just really quickly comes up with an automatic thought. So an automatic thought for me might be, who's even going to watch these videos? I want another cookie. I wrote this last night after I had some cookies. But that's the automatic thought. So just keeping on that same note, automatic thoughts are really, really easy. They just happen automatically. In order to have an intentional thought, you have to work really hard. And that's why we can get really stuck in those automatic thoughts and not be able to turn them off, because they just happen so easily. And, we usually take the path of least resistance, which means coming up with those intentional thoughts might not happen. But that's exactly where I want to sort of focus the rest of the presentation on today. So here is just a schematic of how we go from something occurring in our world to us taking action. So something outside happens and our brain perceives. Now these are both neutral. That's why they got the little squiggly line. And then we can have an automatic thought. And that automatic thought can be positive or negative. We're going to go down the list of what happens when it's positive, positive, positive the whole way down. So these are our eternal optimists that have a positive automatic thought, and then the more they think about it, the more positive they want to be, and then they do some sort of positive action. So, for example, an automatic thought might be, I'm trying to think of an example on the fly, which I should have done when I was preparing this. Maybe you watched the life hacks for cleaning my room. So you got an automatic thought of, I just cleaned my room, it looks really nice, and then an intentional thought of, I should maybe, share this positivity with the rest of my household. And then maybe for your positive action, you go out and you clean a room that's not even your own. Maybe you help clean the kitchen or help clean the family room. So that whole chain is all positive. Feeling good, having a positive automatic thought about your room, and then having an intentional thought about wanting that to spread throughout the rest of the house, and then actually doing it. On the other side of this, we have sort of pessimism or cynicism, where everything is viewed as a negative. So a negative automatic thought of, this, we could try to work with the same example of, my room is messy, I'm messy, I can't actually get anything clean. And then the intentional thought of, if I can't get anything clean, why should anything ever be clean? And then the action there would be to either make more of a mess or just really completely ignore another mess in a different room. So really these are, are either overly optimistic folks or are overly cynical or negative folks. So that can be characterized by Dory or Eeyore. Nobody is always optimistic or always pessimistic. If you are always sort of bright and positive and fluffy, sometimes that can be pretty annoying to other folks. And it is pretty rare for someone to be completely negative all the time, but it does happen. So, on the other side, we could have a positive automatic thought, but then a negative intentional thought. And I see this a lot with folks that struggle with depression, where something, the automatic thought is positive, but then as soon as they start thinking about it, they take it back and put a negative spin on it. So, this is really what can happen with some severe depression. So, you've got a positive thought like, oh, it's a really nice day outside, maybe I want to go for a walk. But then your intentional thought is, I just don't have the energy to do that. I don't want to go for a walk. And then we end up sitting at home and sort of staying in that same, cycle of thinking about a negative. On the other side, and this is really what I want to focus on, this one pathway here. We have a negative automatic thought, but then we have a positive intentional thought. Now, this is not easy. This does not come easy. This is all about building resilience. So you have a negative automatic thought. So maybe I'm not feeling so good about myself today, but then your intentional thought is, well, then I'm going to work out. I'm going to, get some push-ups in, or get some sit-ups in, or I'm going to, start, watching what I eat. So you have the negative automatic thought, but then you override that with an intentional thought that's positive. And if you don't take any action, or you take a negative action, you're kind of in this weird zone. But if you're able to take a positive action and a positive intentional thought after a negative automatic thought, that is huge. That is resilience in a nutshell. That is what building strong foundations is all about. Because we all have these automatic thoughts. And again, you don't get to control your automatic thoughts. I think it was about 2 years ago, I decided I really wanted to research how to stop automatic thoughts. It's called thought stopping or thought stop. I've tried it. There is a lot of research out there about how you can stop automatic thoughts. In my practice, I've never seen it work. I've found that it is much more effective to allow yourself to have those thoughts, but then really intervene at the intentional thought level, because that's something that you can control. So again, you can control your intentional thoughts, you can control your actions, you cannot control your automatic thoughts. So it's kind of like, why fight it if it's going to be such a difficult fight, and if it's maybe not even going to be successful? I would rather, help people realize, oh, yep, that was a negative automatic thought, but that thought, it doesn't control me. It's just a thought. What does control me, or what I do have control over, are my intentional thoughts and my actions. Really random, just because I know there are some of you out there that like to piece the whole puzzle together. There were two paths that we didn't talk about. They are more rare. So somebody that has a positive automatic thought and a positive intentional thought, but then follows it up with a negative action, and then you're thinking, why would anyone do that? This does happen. This happens a lot with personality disorders, so antisocial personality disorder, or what's the other one? Avoidant personality disorder, histrionic, where you have these positive life events, but then you choose to self-sabotage and take a negative action. Doesn't make sense, but it does happen. So an example of this might be somebody said something nice, and it makes you feel good. And then your intentional thought is, oh, that person's a really good friend. But then for some reason you go online and you gossip about how naive or simple-minded the person is. Don't know why you would do that, but it does happen. On the other side, there are folks that have negative automatic thoughts and negative intentional thoughts, but then they follow it up with a positive action. Now, this is usually called passive-aggressive, where you have negative thoughts, but then you do something that could be defined as positive. So, for example, here, I look over at my neighbor's yard and my yard has a lot more weeds, and I feel like, oh, my yard is terrible, I must not be good at yard work. My intentional thought is that, why even try? This is, I can't have as clean or as pretty of a yard as he does. But then I flip it, and while they're having a family barbecue, I decided to go outside and do some really loud yard work, just to try to prove a point or make myself feel better. So that's passive aggressive. Again, two rare situations, but I do know that some guys like to finish the whole puzzle. So that's the whole chain. It gets a little bit complicated, but the one I would really like you guys to focus on is this path of resilience. So you have a negative automatic thought, and that's okay. It's just a thought. The harder you fight it, the more that thought's going to bury itself and embed itself in your brain. So much better to say, yep, that's an automatic negative thought, but I can have a positive intentional thought anyway. I can control that, and then I can have a positive action as well. Okay, so quick quiz just to wrap things up. Which of the following do you have absolutely no control over? Is it A, your intentional thoughts, B, your automatic thoughts, or, oops, that should be different, C, your actions, or D, all of the above? So which do you have no control over? I'm going to give you 5 seconds to think about that. If you said B, automatic thoughts, you are correct. Way to go. Pat yourself on the back. Last slide, as always, the ways to get in touch with me. Email is the best because I check it very frequently. You can also send me a voicemail or a text at those numbers. Or if you've got some dolphins or mermaids you want to send my direction, I'm at 42 Wallaby Way, Sydney, Australia. All right, thanks, guys. Take care. We'll see you tomorrow.